What's up, Travel Acre fam? Welcome to another episode of Farming Land with Brand. So, on today's episode, you can see we're in front of the calving hutch. We're actually doing some alterations to it to actually create a breeding area for our gilts and our sows. So, we do AI here on the farm, so that we're actually turning the stalls into places where our sows and then our first time gilts will be going into to actually be bred with and actually, birth and have their piglets in here. So join us today on this episode and see how we do this. Alright guys, so we're in the old calving hutch, which is now going to be called Sow Land. We've already actually done an alteration yesterday and something that we made improve better. I'm going to show you a clip of what the walkway used to look like right here. So this is what it looks like as of yesterday, and now we actually put a walkway in with gravel. So now we don't have to worry about it getting muddy during the rain. Sometimes they'll get muddy, but this also gives us a lot more drainage and a lot smoother walkway that doesn't get filled with dirt and all that other kind of stuff. But as you can see, we've already removed the gates from the stalls that used to be there, and we actually already have two stalls that we did a couple months ago that we have two of our registered Durocs in, which I'll show you guys them in a little bit, but their pens are already done. So what we're going to be doing today is taking these sections and putting better, stronger gates in. We're going to be adjusting some of these boards so the piglets can't go in between, sow breeding areas or whatever. So we're going to be taking these bottom boards, lifting them up, sliding these rubber mats underneath in all four of these stalls right here. And in all four of these stalls, that's how we're going to do that. And that way they're butted up against each other, they're pressed down by the wood. And the reason why we're doing that is we're giving it a dry, safe place for breeding, and is to help them from stop breeding. So let's get started. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see that. We are running around 10,000 volts almost. So we are up there. That bounces back and forth between 8 and 10. But we are going to charge how to actually go around and find some areas of wire we're touching. So we found that. Fix those issues, so now we got electricity going. I took some actually regular galvanized wire and wrapped it around the poly wire just to give it a better grip with the clamps, just because sometimes you don't get enough grip with the actual box. So super excited that this is working, guys. So we are completely finished with the actual kind of change and build that we did here in the old calving hutch, now called Sow Land. And I'm going to kind of walk you through to let you know what we did. At first in the video, we were actually working on insulating all the walkways, which were in with the calves before, and they had the posts with the fence all the way down. But we're finishing the video, and we actually ran it for a few days of how it was without actually finishing all the gates. And we had put Bookie Bear right here. We put her in one of the first stalls, and she wouldn't go to water because the electrical lines are so close, and as she got bigger it would have been hard for her to turn around. So what we ended up having to do is remove all of them, because it's not a real big deal that our sows birth together and are near each other. The biggest thing is being able to keep the piglets in a dry area for now, and so that's our biggest thing. And as long as they're all sows in here, they won't really bother each other, but that actually probably help keep track of them a little better. So we ended up opening all those lanes And so all the water troughs still stay. We still kept the perimeter electrical wire that runs around over the top of the water troughs and along the sides, but now it's just all open. So I remember on the video, guys, we had a couple of the gates finished, right? So why put 2 more gates on when we don't need them? So we were going to build more gates, and we ended up not doing that. So what I ended up doing was taking the 2x4s I was going to use to build extra gates, and we just closed off both the sections, because now we can just open the gates, file pigs in and out without either having to purchase new gates or running more gates, which are not as structurally sound as something that's actually attached to the frame of the structure. So we just ran 4 4x4s. It ended up only being 2 8-footers, and then took some extra cattle panel we had laying around to close up these holes down here, and that way piglets won't be able to get out, and it makes it really much more structurally sound than without the panels. So we ended up doing that. The structure is running well. Also, when we ran the electrical fencing, we were using our solar powered charger that we had hooked up over at the left corner over here, or the far right corner, I guess you could say, on the outside. But our turkeys got moved out to pasture, and we actually have to use that for the poultry netting, so we had to order a new box. So I'm going to show you guys exactly where that's located and show you what we're using for that. Okay guys, so what we ended up getting was from Premier One, which is where we get all of our fencing, livestock fencing, as far as all of our poultry nets and our movable fencing that we use everywhere. We use Premier One, and they have a smaller power box because they're not running a lot of electrical wires, and there's no reason to spend a lot of money on a solar powered one where we're in a covered area. So we ended up buying the Hot Shock 5 from Premier One. Just put a screw in here to hold it in. It's running from our electricity, and just powered it to one of the wires down here underneath, and then it comes with a free ground rod, and then we just connect that power right there, and now we have power. It's going to run really good voltage because we're not running a long distance. We're running maybe 100 foot of electrical wire, if that, throughout this whole area. So we just mounted that inside of here, which we just put a new tarp on today, so it's completely covered, no leaks, no anything. About every 6 to 7 months you have to replace the tarp on this structure. So we just did our half a year pretty much replaced, so we just put that on today. So this will stay nice and dry, but we'll get the charging we need here, and now it opens back up our electrical fence for our poultry area. All right guys, so for a second I want to talk about how we're running our water system in here. I actually kind of got the idea from Heifer USA of how they actually run on their pasture pigs, which is something we'll be adopting in the future for our pasture pigs. But for this, I actually ran kind of like a tweak to it because I'm not using actual water troughs. I'm using our cut barrels that we've always used. So what I did was I took some old posts and cut them off, drilled them into the actual plastic tub, then took some screw-in insulators, screwed them in, and we ran the electrical wire from the corner post over the top of it, and then down into another corner, move this water hose, down into another corner post off this post, which keeps it running flush here and keeps it, drops it back down and drops it back up again to it, just as you would on a regular fencing system. And then after that, it runs down all the way down these 4 troughs here. But the reason why this is here, this electrical wire, is the pig has plenty of space to put his head in and drink water, but he can't get in the water actually wallow in it. So that is why we actually did that, which, like I said, we got the idea from Heifer USA about how they run their pasture pigs water so that they create less water. That way it doesn't flood, which is your biggest issue with having piglets. So we want to keep flooding down to a minimum, which is why we have this on our higher ground area here on the farm. And with this water issue, with this water thing taken care of, we shouldn't have any issues with it flooding in here. So this is how we ran it. We just ran the poly wire. You could run it with the galvanized too. I like the poly wire because it's more adjustable, movable. It's easy to pop on and off with insulators, and unlike galvanized, you're not going to get bends in it and stuff. So this is why we ran this area with poly wire, because the wire is really being moved around a lot, especially when we pop them off to actually clean out the troughs and everything like that. So that's how we ran the water here for the pigs. Alright guys, so that's the end of this video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the build and kind of showing the versatility of this actual structure that we built for, you know, first our calving hutch, then we use it for, if you look later down, we actually use it for breeding all of our sheep, or more of our birthing area for all of our sheep and all of our goats during the year. And now we've converted it into actually pretty much a birthing area for pigs. But of course, structurally, you have to change some things as they're more destructive. And we want to give them more room because of being here for longer periods of time, more often. So, from me and Karen here, we just say thank you guys very much. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you here next time on Farming the Lane with Brand. See you guys.